Okay, in this vid, I would like to impart a key learning method used to maintain correct item placement. This should be used during the entire project, as the entire project would require you to place things such as the eyes and the nose, mouth, hand, placement of the shoulder. Any part of your work would have to be placed correctly to ensure that it comes out as expected in the end. If you look at the eyes, for example, these eyes are now set correctly. They're both appear to be on the same angle that I need them to be on. They both appear to be at the proper depth. This one appears to be slightly lower than this one, but technically it's quite a bit lower than this one. The reason this appears to be lower is because you can see more of it. There's a lot more of the eyelid that you can see, the lower eyelid as well, but it's correct. So this one and this one are at the right angle that I need it to be. So they match up. The actual length, height, and depth of the eyes are correct. The height and the actual height of the eye, the length of the eye from here to here, in addition to this one. And the lids, both upper and lower, they're the correct height and the size. Here and here, here and here. Those are all correct. So the placement is good. How do I set placement? Well, it's based on your original artwork, and how I do it anyway is I take the artwork and I put it in a photocopy or a drawn off of a notepad or whatever type of artwork paper source you have, and then I create it for the block that I'm going to use, and I either expand it via photocopy or what have you to the size that I want, or I draw it to the size that I want. And once I have that original artwork, that is going to be the piece of artwork that I use for the entire project. And then once I've done that, I'll be able to measure. For example, in this case, I have a piece of artwork that is on a piece of paper, and then I will measure with my actual pencil or a ruler or whatever you like, even a carving tool, and I'll measure the actual length from the edge of the eye to the far eye. Now, in order to do that, certainly you can get the right size of eye and stuff, but where does it have to go on your project? So in this case, what I would do is I would use a known placement. For example, the measuring from a known position is the key point. So I've been using recently the side of this ear. So I know that the side of this ear is perfect because regardless of the length of this ear, I know that this point is correct. So I've been taking this point and measuring my actual artwork to determine if it meets up with the side of this eye. And it does. So then if I know that that meets up with the side of the eye perfectly, knowing that it's going to be somewhere around here, the length from my pencil to my finger is here, then I can note that line here. Now I have two known correct placements. So now I can measure from this position to the end of the eye, measure my artwork, and know that it's correct. Now this sort of measuring would have to take place throughout and during your project creation, and that would have to be done regularly. Also, you're working on your carving down here on the desk, cutting, and it would have to come back here many times to make sure that you're actually creating what you want to create. So regardless of how often you do that, it's super important for you to do the measuring of placement. So you get the eye, and then you say you need one from here as well. I've been using this point right here because I know this is correct. So I take my pencil and I measure, for example, the height of the eye from that point, and I know that this meets up perfectly with my artwork. So I've gotten quite a bit faster at it, and you will too. The point is that this measuring method has to take place constantly throughout your project's creation. Now I know that my eyes are lined up just right, and the nose is not shaped correctly, but I know that the height of the nose from here to the forehead is correct. And I know that the depth, pardon me, I guess it would be the length from here to here, this point to this point, is correct. And since I know that the size of this nose is correct, and in the face, at the right placement on the face, I can play with the shape at any time. The point next is to work on the mouth region. So I know that the eyes are correct. I know that the nose is in the right spot. I know that the depth of the cheek here is more or less correct, and it can be rounded and cleaned up. And the eyes can also be cleaned up as well, not to mention the nose. But since this and this and this and this and this is correct, I can now work on the mouth to make sure it's correct. So I'll be cutting this back and doing a number of different things here, cutting the mouth down and so on. But once I've done that, then the basic placement of the jawline can be worked on. But that's really just detail, because it's detail of cutting a small circle here, a little bend here, push it up into the ear here, and so on. That will be fairly simple. Once I've gotten this here, the cheekbone, the other cheekbone, the lower jaw, now I do the mouth. Once I've got that done, then I can work on the forehead, and then of course these other places here will start to match.